What do you think of when you hear this word?
May I start first?
Yes,
Yes.
please do.
Yeah, I was thinking about your topic. I think it's really interesting and more deep that we can expect. So, because of course it's kind of like a part of it's kind of characteristic, I think, of people, and what I think that greed is when you want something more that you can that you need. So just and sometimes we connected greed with money, but it's not only about money; it's also things, food, or other things. And so sometimes it's really difficult to stop. Okay, I would take 2 pieces, or it's possible to take 3 pieces and 4 pieces of cakes. And so just like I was thinking about the nature of this greed, and maybe just and that was only my proposal, my just you know my thoughts that we just maybe so many years ago when we lived in the forest, we wanted to survive. So just we wanted to have something more for tomorrow, for a week, because people really lived in a wild environment, and so it was difficult to survive, and so that's why we have such characteristic about greed. So just talking about definitions, for me it's to have something more and more that I need.
More than you need.
Yes, more than you need.
Right. Great. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Natalia. Andreas, can I come to you?
For me, greed is connected with the self-dedication, the view inside and not outside. It's mainly, in my opinion, it's considered in a negative way mostly, but greed can also mean I'm greedy for knowledge or for something I really long for. But as Natalia says, it's connected to more than I need mostly. But maybe the greed for knowledge or for love or whatever, it's not the origin meaning of greed. Maybe it's more like passion or something like that.
Yes, a kind of a hunger or desire or a thirst,
Yes.
even a thirst for knowledge. Okay, so then maybe that ties in with the second question here. Why do you think that greed is or was regarded as a deadly sin? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I also just find it in the vocabulary in the dictionary that was there, how this word came to the English, and what did it mean?
Yeah, okay, interesting. The origin of the word greed from vicarious, hungry, always hungry for more. This idea that you can't get enough. So it could mean, you have a good appetite, but there is well, let's look at now why it is regarded as a deadly sin. What is the dark side of greed?
Of course, it's difficult. Just it's possible to create the analogical chain, how people go to crime, just how they go, they commit some crimes, and so just because why they just kill other people because of money, because maybe just it's out of the root of this action is great, to have more money, to have to be prosperous, to be richer, and so on. So like we have crime, like killing people or just lying, and just so many things, so many cases. Just we can propose really unacceptable for normal, for peaceful life. Mm. So that's
Yes. Right. Maybe if it's at the cost of other things, if you want more at all costs, and you're prepared to do anything, including the things you mentioned, to get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Andreas?
Maybe also because greed in the end leads to the downfall, because it's not greed doesn't lead to improve things, because it's introverted. The aim is to get more, to be shiny, or to only look on yourself, and it doesn't improve it's not a sustainable way of living, and so it's not dedicated to a better world, but to, I think, you think greed to the end, and everybody behaves in this way, it will lead to failure.
Right. Yes. This often makes me think of, I suppose, that I think we'll come back to this maybe if everybody acts in a selfish way. Often greed is defined as this selfish desire for more and more. And we maybe forget about the whole, whether it's the group, the community, or the world in which we live. Yeah, what do you think? The next question here is about, can greed be good? Can it be a good thing? Most people say that greed is not good, except for, I think I shared a video with Gordon Gekko from the Wall Street. He is the famous advocate for greed. Why does he say it's greed is good?
Yeah, greed is good. He said that I'm not a destroyer of companies, so just greed is good. Greed works, good for us, for our life, for a love, for everything. It's a really healthy thing. That's just like greed is for the USA. So as I got it, he was talking about that taxes, yes, knew just like how to I don't know, to fill the budget of the USA. I don't know this. Maybe I'm wrong, but of course he was talking about. He tried to say this and that it's possible. It's a good thing and great in this way that it will work for us, for all citizens. Yeah. That was interesting his logic chain.
Yes.
But even for economics, greed in the end leads to negative effects, because if you are behaving in the opposite direction of greed in terms of economic, if you raise wages of your employees, or if everybody does it, it's a driver for the economy, and so it will improve your circumstances and your income in the end, if you think it big. But it's not the answer to your question.
No, but that's okay.
Can be good. I like this comment. Greed is a driver for a lot of people. more in the way I mentioned, greed for longing for more, to be open-minded, to not to be satisfied with what I have and what I do, but in terms of developing myself and look for more stuff, knowledge, contacts to others. So it's maybe a transferred interpretation of greed.
Okay. Let's talk, because I think we touched upon this now, talking about greed and about you mentioned economics. So let's talk about economics. Let's talk about capitalism. Is it a greedy system? Isn't capitalism based on everybody trying to get as much for themselves? Was it Adam Smith and The Wealth of Nations that he talks about everyone working in their own interest?
I think yes, because yes, I was living in Soviet time, so just when we had something really free of charge. I mean, just people could get flats and pieces of land. Just I mean, we call them dacha, or just so it was absolutely from the government just to give and to support people and just to support young families. And so just of course my parents, they got this flat according to how many kids you have, absolutely free of charge from the government. That was socialism, and that was a really great system. And so people could plan their future. They know that they would have good pension, and so that if they work, of course, and they don't need a lot of money. They don't need a high salary. They have what they need for their good life. So just it was true. Yes, maybe sometimes, of course, there are also many bad and good points. But anyway, we didn't buy flats. We just got them from our government. That was not capitalism. So now just we have this system here, of course, and if you don't work, you cannot survive. You don't have official how to say sufficient support from the government, even just for families who have which have 2 kids or 3 kids and more. They maybe could have some really small support, but anyway, 2 parents should work because the social how to say social benefits, like for support these families, is so small. And so of course it's really difficult to survive if you don't work. So
Yes, when you put it that way, it sounds like quite a nice thing to have.
yes, sure.
Okay, Andreas, let me bring you in for now.
I would also say yes, it is basically, but there are some rules, and people became aware that there are rules, and the only greedy thought doesn't work in the end. And so that you gain more if you're generous and if you're fair and if you you see that your customers' thoughts and your employees' thoughts are valuable as well, and they help you to improve your products or what you're doing. So the greed is limited by these factors, I think. It's not possible to base everything in capitalism on greed. It won't work in the end, because if you think it to the end, nobody will have money except you, and so nobody will buy your products.
That's a
or
good
go to the
point.
restaurant where that you supply with food or other things.
Yes.
And I would like to add about the system that was that we got this social help from the government, but anyway, it was like you had to work I don't know how many years, maybe 5 or 7 years, for the company. Just like all companies were, how to say, they were, so you just work for the company, for the country, and so just you would get kind of a benefit. It's not all about, yes, I'm only Russian, so and I deserve to get free of charge flat. No, oh, you have to work. So just like 5 or 7 years, I don't remember the how many years, but all my parents, of course, they were true workers, and they just try to work. They try to work hard and just to show that they deserve these benefit, and so that's all people try to work hard for the country, for prosperity of our country, and so we believed in our future, good future. So that was the main point. So it's not just to get something free of charge, but of course you have to do something. Just invest your time, I don't know, yourself.
Okay, yes, thanks. Yeah, of course. We can't just expect to get something for nothing.
And I think that is a really main problem in Europe. So just because they have a lot of immigrants, and so just they have a really good social benefit, social support from the government, but they don't want to work, and they are really not for work. They are just only for like to be parasite, just and yeah, they really they can ruin the system, that their cultural system and so on. It's a really big problem. I think that they should, I mean, it's for government, they have to change the rules for immigrants. Of course, I would give you money, but you have to do something for the country. Yes, of course, you don't know, you cannot speak the language, but anyway, there are so many works. Of course, you have to deserve this help. I think that in this way it will work.
Okay, so everybody should be playing their part.
Yeah.
Okay, let me come down to a more, when we've touched upon this already. We talked about capitalism and about greed. Do you think human beings are basically greedy?
Yeah. I think yes. There's sometimes, especially talking about myself, for example. Of course, I could be greedy, especially talking when we will talk about my son, for example. Yes, for my family. I think it's kind of our natural necessity just to survive and maybe to have something more in order to fit. That's not about these days, but anyway, just talking about when you have small kids, and of course you have to care about them and you have to think about them. So maybe sometimes you are not greedy for yourself, you are greedy just in order to have enough food, to have enough money, just to take care for your family. So I think it's kind of, but sometimes, of course, this greedy part could get bigger, and so sometimes people, of course, could be changed, and that's about the evolution.
Right, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think growth is a key part of humans. We want to evolve, we want to grow, and we talk about growth as well. So maybe I'll come back to that, but can I ask you the same question, Andreas?
I'm not so convinced. For me, it's more the aim to evolve, to improve, to get better, and I think people quite early experience the positive effect of sharing, of interaction, of thinking of others and sharing thoughts with others. And for me, greed is such an introverted or in selfish the view inside and excluding the things around me. And as I said, it's an experience, positive experience, to share and to not so extremely greedy or selfish. That stimulates things in our brain and makes positive things in my feelings. And I think people they yearn for these feelings, for the experience you did good things and somebody says thank you to you or is delighted because of your action. And maybe you could say, but this is also greedy to do it because you feel better afterwards. It's a spiral, maybe a circle in thinking.
But I suppose at least then you are doing it for the betterment of everybody, and everybody will feel better. I saw a talk recently which discussed, it had an interesting idea that we are all part of a bigger system on the earth, and we have to share and we have to help each other and grow. And the idea that people who are too focused on greed and selfishness and individual gain at the expense of others, she compared this to cells in a human body, which were just working for themselves and not working for the whole, which of course are, bad cells, cancerous cells in a body, which will cause the whole system to break down, and they will be attacked by other cells. So it's quite an extreme view, but I think definitely, we have to remember we're part of a whole.
I just agree with you, but also there are some really, I can provide different examples. For example, one person could be so greedy and he would try to earn more and more, just to do some really bad things, just like to that's like some not good actions towards other people, and especially just that could be kind of a race, or just in promotion to get a higher salary and to live better and to travel more, to buy expensive cars and flats and so on. But other people, I try to understand what I really need to be happy. So I don't have even just a car, expensive car. I have small flat. I'm happy with that. I don't need just like a big house and just to impress other people that I'm rich and I'm so popular and celebrity. No, I can say that I'm greedy in knowledge, greed of knowledge, if it's possible to say. I really when I'm always in study, in research, and I like to know more and more. For me, it's kind of like, yes, in this way, in this case, I'm greedy. And also, my observation is of one part of people, they want to be, they are greedy because they want to be rich and richer and to have more money and I don't know, to be happy, or maybe to show to others that they have a lot of things, expensive things. I don't know. They have maybe their own goals. But other people, for example, not just, they could be really not greedy. They could provide help not only to members of your families or friends, even to strangers. People could help other people just for nothing, for even just to have a feedback, like in words, saying thank you for this help. So why just people do it? It's really interesting. It's not about evolution. Of course, I was thinking about Charles Darwin. He tried to explain the evolution, so just how we created. But who created this really perfect mind? This mind could play chess, could I don't know, could discuss a lot of things, could study and study, and to because it's curious. Now, for me, it's really interesting because that everything could be explained on a base of theory of evolution, but we don't need such a really great mind to survive in the world.
Interesting, yeah. Which I suppose comes to our next question about evolution and
Oh,
biology.
sorry, I didn't read.
But that's so fine. It's no, it's all the same topic. Is it evolutionary? We've covered a little bit of this before. You know, greed, the desire for more. Natalia, you started off at the beginning saying that maybe as more primitive creatures or beings, we wanted to you know, to get as much food for survival, perhaps to get more for the winter. So this can be part of who we are. But again, we are social beings. So what about altruism as well? I want to ask this.
Yeah, altruist. That's interesting. Why people that some people could be altruists and some others they thinking about only themselves and how to get richer and they have a lot of money. We know just how many people have just so that's really unsocial different. There's a big difference between rich and poor people, but sometimes poor people they are more happy than rich people. That's interesting. So money could not always, and sometimes money don't couldn't provide you so this happiness, and so it's interesting. And maybe just looking at this topic more philosophically, when you get older and you change your values and you understand that what is really great, what is really important for your life, because we are all, we will all die. Yes, we will pass away. And so just what do you need just to live this short period of time? Really, what make you happy? So
Yeah, it's difficult to divide between what makes you happy short term right now, what is satisfying what you long for now, and what really makes you happy in the end. And it's always tempting to gain for more, for new new products, modern things, but then you probably you come to a point where you experience what really makes me happy are other things, and maybe altruistic people have made this experience earlier, or they had the chance to make this experience, and they learned this is what makes me happy, and for example money can't do that for me. But I think it can't be that much included in our evolution, or be part of our evolution, because then we wouldn't get children, for example, because I have to share everything with my children. I will have less in the end right now of things and money, but it's what is ingrained into our genes, that we want sustainability to our population, to human beings. And this is what I meant at the beginning. It will lead to a bad end in the end if you think it. You go on thinking and practicing in a greedy way, in an extremely greedy way.
Yes, there was an interesting video which I almost shared with you guys. I think I'll put a link in below this and I will send it after, from the BBC, about greed. It was presented from Finland, and they have a saying apparently, which, yeah, if you are too greedy and you're too grasping, I suppose you end up in the muck, in the crap, as they said. So
I just wanted to, yeah, just to add the book. I read this book of George Orwell, and it was really interesting that because the main character, he wanted to reject money, this money world, and he tried to live without money and just to, yeah, to isolate himself. It was really interesting experiment. It's not so big book. Yeah, I really recommend you to read this book. Yeah, it was interesting.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned about the sustainability, and obviously we do have more than just this pure selfish ego. We have, like you say, we are interested in perhaps the survival of the species. Otherwise we wouldn't be here now, I suppose, if our forefathers were selfish to the end. So yeah, our ancestors, our
Selfish and
survival of the
stronger.
species.
Yeah.
But then that might say we are only interested in our own kin, our own descendants. What about the other? We all have to live in this world together. We talked about altruism. Nowadays, with coronavirus, there has been some call for universal basic income. Do you think this is something which could work? Are you familiar with this concept?
Of the basic income.
The universal basic income. Idea of giving everyone a certain amount of money, enough to live, regardless of whether you already earn some or not.
It has to. It's only possible if it works in the end, because if it's not sustainable, we can practice this for a few years or decades, and then there comes the big crash. I think everybody, there are some. I imagine it like circles. There are basic needs, and we want to make sure these basic needs are satisfied. And as long as these are not satisfied, we think of ourselves, me personally or my family, and then there's a wider circle around this. Maybe this is my city or my village or my country, and every government in the first place takes care that the own economy and the own citizens have an optimum or their basic needs are fulfilled, and then we look to the outer circle, maybe Europe or the world or other continents, and then the climate change comes into play, or global threats. But it's always from inside to outside, because it's, in a way, it's reasonable, because I can only supply my value, things I can contribute, only then when I am strong enough to, I'm healthy, I'm able to do this. And so yeah, in a way it makes sense to think from inside to outside.
Yes, and you've touched on a point of looking out for those in a society who are perhaps unable to do that for themselves, which I know some people have described as the definition of civilization. Yes, I noticed there is a comment. Sorry, I've missed this. We did have a comment from Johnny Erst, who says greed is a driver for a lot of people. Sorry, I didn't see that until now, but yeah, I think we have covered that. Well, it's true. Perhaps that's not the be all and end all. Okay, so any final comments, guys, or anything to add? Anything that we've missed that you, or does anybody else have any questions or comments?
It was really great topic, and I think that it's deep. It's a very deep topic, and so philosophical, and just of course we need these basic needs, and so we cannot reject money on this world. We are the part of this system, as you mentioned. It's impossible to avoid this system. Maybe just as ethical question we should ask to yourself how much greedy I am now, what can I change, and can I help other people? So just maybe they need a little help, and maybe just it's not like a big amount of money, maybe that I can help in just not only just money support provide them, but also maybe just something else and help people. So I think that in this way our life will be better, our world will be more kinder, and we will be maybe happier, because sometimes when I see that rich people, they are not happy. Sometimes they have a lot of they're ill, they have so many problems, and so they are so stressful, and so much stress, and so that's not about happiness. They don't have their own life.
Yes, thank you, Natalia. Sorry. Yes, please go ahead.
There's a large article in the today's newspaper. I didn't have the chance to read it already, but the headline says there are more and more millionaires or billionaires that who claim to be taxed in a proper way. They want to contribute, and they demand to be taxed more than they are now, or to pay more taxes.
Wow.
I'm curious to read it.
Yeah, I wanted to say, what about billionaire philanthropists? That was a question that I remember I want to ask. People like Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation, is it only natural somebody who comes to one of the richest people in the world, are they doing it at the other expense of other people and these foundations that they have? Is this driven from a real sense to give something back, or is it just a case of trying to save tax money?
I think, yeah, firstly that to save money. Just you can just I just read this system, this chain, this blockchain, that how you can invest to a charity, and so that uh, you can get your money back without taxes. So it's possible, it's workable. But also I've heard about Bono. He is also a philanthropist, and but Bill Gates is so popular. It's so just every day daily news, even in Russia. So just I can read and something about Bill Gates, about vaccine, and so on. I'm not against Bill Gates. He's a person, and I think that firstly I try to if I cannot change the world, I try to change my attitude. That's my motto. That's my goal, to change my attitude to the situation, maybe just to make other people happier. Yeah, just to help them and just to do something really good.
Nice. Okay. Well, I think that's a nice note to end it on. Can I thank you both for being part of the discussion?
Thank you, and David. It was very interesting. Thank you for this topic.
Thank you too.
You're welcome. And if anybody else has any questions, please drop them in the comments. And if you are keen to get on board and join the live debate, please send me a message directly, and I will add you to the newsletter.
Thank you.
So thank you both. Have a good day.
Have a good day.